Megan, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. I realized this is my Oscar Isaac wall behind me because I have a
Oh,
sign of Sydney Burstein and then I have inside Llewyn Davis with a BB.
amazing.
And then I was like, oh, right, that's important for this because you get to not only costume design Moon Knight, which I think is all the different versions that exist of the Moon Knight persona is so much fun to kind of look at, but you also get to dress Steven, Jake,
Mhm.
and Mark.
Yeah.
For you, how do you kind of map out what each of those characters is going to look like in their specific style?
For Mark and Steven, that was interesting because I needed to take like Steven, oh, he lives in Brixton in this area of London, but he's kind of like this dorky guy and he works at the museum and like how can I make him look different than like a geeky like American or like someone who looks like this. I really took that area. And I wanted to, like all characters, I want to give them something of interest. So I wanted to give him a pant that was cropped,
Hmm.
yet a heavier shoe to kind of weight him down. And then he's hiding behind these like chore jackets. So he's trying to fit in to the world, but he's maybe just like a few trends behind. So that was him. And then Mark, I wanted to make as like he's a stone cold killer. So I wanted to make him um kind of more militant. Like, okay, is he like a special agent? Was he in the military? Like in the military, like what's happening with that? And Oscar actually on another project worked with someone who was in special ops. So he said, "Oh, you should actually talk to this guy because he's so informative." And what I learned was that when you are like undercover spy, whatnot, those people do not wear black. They wear navy, charcoal, or brown because they will blend into the crowd. But if they wear
Hmm.
black, like they'll stand out. So I very much incorporated that into his character and really thought about like, okay, what would he always be wearing or not wearing? And also he had to be able to like be on the move at all times and run and be functional. And then for like Jake, I really took inspiration from the comic.
Hmm.
So I wanted to know like Jake is the character that like we see, very much at the end, but instantly you need to know who he is. So I took a similar silhouette to what was in the comic and then just modernized it. So the leather jacket is actually a Japanese denim, like a Japanese raw denim. And then I wanted to have like a little Easter egg. So on the back of the collar, there is Oscar's Guatemalan. So I took his Guatemalan like zodiac sign type of thing, his brother who also worked on the film, the first issue of Moon Knight, the first time we see Jake in it, and I incorporated that into a design and then it like printed on the back and incorporated into the pattern. So there's like little Easter eggs like throughout.
Oh, I love that. Well, yeah, because you said special ops, I was like, I'm sure it was Triple Frontier, a movie I'm obsessed with. Like, I was like, because that makes sense for Triple Frontier. But I also love, the design of Mr. Knight ruled. But it is also those are him and Moon Knight are so iconic from the comics. Did you get to have any say in what you wanted them to look like, or was it pretty much like make them as close to this as possible?
So Marvel has a full visual development department that starts like way far out before anyone on the actual project starts, whether it be
Mhm.
the people who are like building the stuff on the film. So I met with them and I had like there was meetings and stuff about the ideas of that. And then I really talked through like, okay, Oscar is playing these roles, how we this is like a suggestion of how we need to like alter it to fit the body type. This is an idea. I incorporated some ideas for Mr. Knight. I wanted to make sure that it was like it's a white suit. I wanted to make sure that it's like I don't just want to see a flat like this is a flat color. Like I don't want it to be a flat white on camera because it's just going to look like one thing. So the fabric is actually an upholstery fabric and it has a lame woven into it. So it has a silver in it so that when you're at night, it gives a little bit of a shimmer in the movement. So it's not just going to look flat white.
Mhm.
Um, but the upholstery had no stretch. So I was like terrified because I was like, that we're going to blow out so many suits. We ended up having like 40 of these suits because of all the physicality, the stunts, and just like the wet downs and the wear and tear. But there was only one jacket that was like fully destroyed, and everything else, like my tailors did such an amazing job. And then so that was great because it was always like functional, adding the details of like the on the lapels, adding the buttons have a Khonshu symbol on them. So there's different details that were incorporated into the Mr. Knight. And then for the Moon Knight, it was originally illustrated and it was like a grayish tone. And I thought, does everybody really want this grayish tone? Because that's also a color that can go very flat. So we did 5 layers of 3D printing layered on top of one another to give it texture, dimension. It also had a lame in it. There was hieroglyphics in it. So we did that so that I wanted to make sure that you would like it would just not go flat, and that I love a lot of texture and details in the design. So there's a lot in that suit.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love all that. I'm gonna ask you about those by the end, but I want to first ask about these shoes that Ethan Hawke has to wear
Oh,
because they make no sense that they have holes in the side of them and then he's like, let me put glass in them. But it
yeah.
also makes sense for that character that he would be like, I'm gonna put glass in these shoes that the glass can very clearly fall out the sides of the shoes if need be. Was what was your like the line of thinking for that? Because it makes sense for that character to put glass in those kind of shoes, but it is funny to watch a sandal that you're like, that's gonna fall out the side like as soon as he starts moving.
So the sandals came about because I had a very long conversation with Ethan about Arthur Harrow,
Mhm.
and I kind of fashioned that character after like cult leaders, religious figures, how to incorporate that. And when I did the research, cult leaders are always like, they have one interesting thing about them, whether it be like the glasses or a watch or a mullet or a certain clothing item. And I liked the idea of keeping the simplicity with a linen, like tone on tone, like suit or like the outfit, but I was like, we have to have something like odd. And I found these sandals and I was like, this is so kind of weird, but I think it's appropriate. And so that's how the sandals came about. And then with the glass, we already had all of the scripts and had done the fitting, and the glass came in kind of additionally. So it wasn't supposed to be like actually happening, but it was great.
Yeah,
It
it
was,
worked. It
yeah.
was just genuinely funny to look at those shoes and be like, the glass is gonna fall out the side of them. But I loved it so much. For my last question, I do want to ask, what is your favorite little detail that you got to include in those suits? Because it is so cool to hear about all of those now. But like, what did you put in that you're just like obsessed with?
There are so many details. I definitely like really love the Jake Broccoli, like the
Yeah,
Black
that's so cool.
Templar, because not a lot of people know about that. And then I on the Scarlet Scarab costume, it was like molded leather, but everything was hand painted. So I just like loved that. I love the hieroglyphics that are burned into the fabric for Moon Knight, but also on his cape, on the reverse, like underneath. Um, there's hieroglyphics all in that like you really don't see that much, but like when you see it up close, it's just so cool. And I love in Towerette, the hippo. I did so much research, Egyptian research, that on her hat, like on her headpiece, I had a metalsmith and he hammered in like a fertility dance, like an Egyptian fertility dance, like in this headpiece. No one is gonna know what that was, but like I was obsessed with it. I like thought it was so cool.
I love that. I love that scarab costume. I think it's absolutely incredible when she like spread out her wings. I was like, yes, this is perfection. But thank you so much for talking to me. I really appreciate
Yeah.
it. And I love Moon Knight. I still think it's one of the best Disney Plus shows.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you.